Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today, I have just an absolutely horrific experience to share with you. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon. And folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? All right, guys, so today's subscriber submitted experience, I'm getting a lot more of people that want to talk and tell me their experience than type it out, which is good. I do like that if they want to do an interview, but sometimes they don't want to do an interview. So that for me kind of stinks, because then I have to just take notes and share it how they shared it with me, instead of, having them sit down, type it out, and then narrate it. This experience happened in Park Falls, Wisconsin last year, in early fall. And I guess Park Falls is a very rural kind of location in northern Wisconsin. There's not a lot to do there if you're a couple of 19-year-old kids. And, you've got the Chequamegon Nicolet National Park or National Forest that is just north of Park Falls, Wisconsin. Now, the subscriber that reached out to me, he was 18 at the time, and he and his buddies were just hanging out, not really doing much. Like I said, there's not a lot to do. They were at his house. His parents were gone for a week or so, for vacation. So it's him and his friends. They had been playing video games, and they were like, hey, let's get some food, more snack food. Let's make an all-nighter of, Call of Duty, and let's get this, kind of Call of Duty party going on at my house. We'll all set up, we'll have a bunch of food, and we'll just play all night. And so everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. So they've got to go to the grocery mart, and to get to this grocery mart, they got to pass a couple of, they got to pass a church, a electric area, like an electrician, and I'm not going to name names of these because if you Google it, you'll probably be able to find it. And they want to get to this grocery mart. So the grocery mart closes at 10 o'clock. And he knows that this happened somewhere between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, because the grocery store was still open and it was getting dark at the time of this experience. Now, he lives outside of Park Falls, excuse me, and they have to drive north, almost like going into Chequamegon Nicolet National Forest. Park Falls kind of rests right there. And he lives south of town. His family owns some land out there, and you know, his family's fairly well off. They have a very large house out there, and outside of the community, but still part of the community. And so they're not right in town. So they have to travel up Route 18 or 13, excuse me. And as they are going up this road, they pass the Assembly of God Church, and which is on as they're going up, it would be on the left-hand side. They pass a electrician and a veterinarian. Then they cross over the falls, this kind of rapids. There's a bridge, and then you're in town. You're in Park Falls, and then you can go to the food market, the Super Plus or whatever it is. And so they're driving up. They don't smoke weed. They're sober. They're just, kids, 18-year-old kid, just having fun. They are rambunctious. But he specifically said, we don't smoke weed. We're not, he goes, we're not nerds. He goes, but weed isn't just my thing. He goes, a few of my friends do, but the friends that were at my house, that's not our thing. We like to be sober. We have fun. But so we didn't see whatever we saw because we were smoking weed. And I'm like, yeah, even if you were smoking weed, I'd be like, that's, like, weed is not going to make you see a Dogman or a Bigfoot or a crawler. So they're driving up through, and they get to about where the Assembly God Church is. And one of the guys kind of is in the back, and he says, "What the hell is that?" And he's driving, so he can't really see. And the guy goes, stop for a second. And they get in between this church and this electrician. And the electrician would be on the right. The veterinarian is on the right. And so he stops, and he's like, "What did you see? What do you mean? What was it?" And he goes, "It was this huge dog. It looked like there was a dog on the church's roof." And the guys are like, "What?" There's 4 of them in the car. Just like, what the hell? Dog on the roof. What do you mean? And there's some woods behind the church and stuff. So he's like, "All right, I'm not going to turn around. Let's go up to get our food and snacks and stuff before the place closes, and we'll come back through and we'll pull in the parking lot." So they all agree to do that, and they're making fun of the guy that saw it. They're like, "Dog on a church's roof, come on, you're seeing stuff." And as they pass the veterinarian's place, one of the guys goes, maybe the dogs escaped from the kennels, and just being kids. So they get their food, and they spend about 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the grocery mart, and they're coming back through. And the guy goes, "Don't forget to pull into the church. I want to see, I want to see if that thing was there, because maybe someone threw a dog up there. They're trying to figure out what might have happened, and maybe some malicious jerk threw a dog on the church's roof, or maybe he was just seeing something." So
they pull in this little road, and then they go to the back end of the church. And as they pull in the parking lot, they don't see anything. And now they're really busting the friend's ass and like, where's your dog? Yada, yada. So they kind of do a circle in the parking lot, and they're looking and shining the lights out into the woods. And the woods aren't that deep there, but they are fairly deep. You're not getting lost, but, you could play manhunt or whatever in those woods. He said they're, typical woods, not a forest. So he shines his lights out there. For some reason, he just felt, even though he wasn't really believing that his friend saw a dog on a church roof, but he's like, maybe he did see something. I'm going to shine my lights in the woods real quick. And that's why he did the circle and kind of stopped, and he put his high beams on, and they're all looking, and they got their radio on, and as he turns his high beams on, that's when they catch this eye shine. The passenger turns the radio down, and, they're all like, what the hell is that? What is that? That's eye shine. What is that? And the guys are, they're trying to figure out what the hell, because it's not low to the ground. They can tell by the height of the trees and such that are out there that it's not 4 foot off the ground. It's more or less like 7-8 feet off the ground. And it's this really kind of bright yellowish. So he clicks his high beams off real quick to see, if they'll still be able to see the eye shine. And as he does that, the eye shine is still there. And everyone's like, kind of like, what the hell? What? Your high beams aren't on that, so it's not reflecting back. We can still see. And he pulls up. He pulls his car up to where the parking lot kind of ends, the grass begins, and then there's the woods. And he clicks his high beams on again. And what they see is they actually saw this large mass pull back into the woods. He said, I think whatever it was had started to walk out of the woods when I had my low beams on, because we really couldn't see that far with just the low beams. And then once I hit the high beams, I think I startled it or, freaked it out that we are now looking at this thing. So they're all just sitting there like, what in the hell is this thing? And they kind of see it move in the tree line, kind of move to the side, and they're all like, let's get out of here. It's probably a deer. It's, they're just coming up with general ideas. And so he turns the high beams back off and the low beams are on, and he backs up because he doesn't want to drive on the church's grass. So he backs up in the parking lot and he starts to turn, and he's almost facing where the road would be to get back to 13 and then back to his house. And the kid in the back that had spotted the dog on the roof screams and goes, there it is, there it is. And he's, everyone's like, there's what? Because as they're sitting like this, the woods are now behind them and the church is kind of diagonal. And they all look, because he's like, right there, right there. And they all look. And on the church's side roof, where they couldn't see when they pulled in, there's this massive dog standing on all fours, just standing there looking at them. And, you know, he's like, I told you I saw a dog, but look how big that thing is. And they all, like, he backs up to get straight onto it and face it, and he clicks his high beams on, but obviously they're not going to go up. They light the area a little more. As he's backing up and facing this thing, this dog then stands up on the roof and in 2 steps jumps off the roof and is now on the ground staring at them. And like seconds after this thing lands on the ground and is staring at them, this other dogman that was in the woods slams into their car. They felt the car move, and the passenger in the rear back seat, so the guy in the passenger side, not the one that saw the first dogman on the roof, but he kind of looked over for some reason, kind of just looked, and he said that what he saw was it looked like a football tackle when it came in. It used its shoulder and hit the side of the car. And when it did, it made the car rock. It didn't move the car like feet. It rocked it. And the driver punches it and goes, what the hell? Takes off out of there. So they get back out onto 13, and, you know, they're all looking. He's looking in his mirrors. The 2 guys in the back are turned around looking. The passengers, you know, he's looking out in the back. He's like, are they following us? What the hell was that? You know, they're all having like a shit fit. And they get onto 13 and they start heading to his house. They get to the house and they get inside. They're still just like wound up. They bring their groceries in, and they're talking about everything, you know, as they're in his kitchen, just, you know, getting a drink of soda, putting the groceries away that they had just picked up, and talking about what they had each seen. You know, he's like, when did you see this? What did you see? You know, what the hell hit my car? And that's when the guy that was in the back spoke up and said, this thing ran from the woods. He goes, I didn't watch it run from the woods. He goes, I saw it seconds before it was using its shoulder to hit the ass end of the car. So now they've got 4 people in one story that matches up, but 4 different viewpoints. So he saw this dogman at first on the roof, and then they all saw it. So they all have the same story, but different vantage points from where they were looking. Because the guys in the front, in the passenger, or in the one in the behind the driver, they were looking at, you know, at getting this dogman, figuring out what the hell that one is. He just happened to look over, but as he's looking over, he's looking, the passenger or the guy behind the driver sitting here, so he's got to look this way, like, bam. So now they're kind of wound up, like, what the hell was that? You know, was it a bear? Was it this? You know, and the buddy of them goes, dude, that's a dogman. That's a dogman. You know, I've heard about dogman. You know, I listen to, you know, stories on YouTube, and I've heard about them on this one channel that I listen to, and I didn't think they were real because, I always thought they were creepypasta, and, but I've heard of them, and, they're all like Dogman. So that's when they all kind of pop up YouTube on their phones, and they're, trying to figure out what they had just seen, Dogman. And it's just funny because, like, the one guy that's talking is literally talking about a story that I'm pretty sure all of us have heard. And he was talking about Corp's husband and the 3-hour park ranger creepypasta that Corp husband did like 8 years ago. That really made Corpse's channel something, was that one story. It's like 3 hours of creepypasta park ranger talking about like household staircases, and not the brick or the ancient stone staircases that you'll see in the woods occasionally, because they are out there, but they are not like some sort of portal to neither world, but like, a set of stairs with carpet on them, like that's what this creepypasta, it's actually great, because I remember listening to Corp's husband being like, wow, he was one of the first YouTube narrators that I was like, well, I can talk about Dogman, and I can talk about Bigfoot, and I can talk about the paranormal if this guy's doing it. And, wow, I wish my voice sounded like that. So now they are like, Dogman, what the hell? Let's go back. We got nothing else to do. Let's go back and see if we can see it. And, let's grab some flashlights. They're making a plan. They're not getting out of the car, but they want to go back and see if they can locate this Dogman. So now it's, after 10, it's dark, and they load up. They got flashlights. They didn't bring any firearms with them. He thought about grabbing his dad's shotgun, but he opted against doing that. He's actually like, he's a kid, he's my daughter's age. And, so it was like talking to someone that could be my son. And so they're like, let's go back to the church. We'll pull in. And if we see it, let's not get out of the car, but let's see if we can see this thing again. Let's get some pictures of it. Let's do this and that. And so as they go out, he wants to see if there's any damage to his car. He had gotten this car. His parents had bought him a BMW for his graduation present. Like I said, his family's fairly well off. But he's appreciative, he's like, my family's well off, but I have a job, but that was the gift that I got for graduating, high school. And I wanted to see if it was any damage done, because how am I going to explain that my car's got a big dent in it? So they walk out, they click on their flashlights, and they're looking. And there's a little kind of dent on the rear quarter panel above the back tire. And he's like, great, what am I going to say? And, they're like, oh, just tell your dad someone kicked it or whatever. And, because he's like, my dad's not going to believe that we saw this thing unless we get photos of it. So they drive back up 13 and they pull in off this. There's this little road that they pull in, and they go into the Assembly of God Church again. And as they're pulling in, they can see lights coming back down the 13 towards them. And he doesn't want to attract any unwanted attention because they're pulling in a church parking lot at 10:30 at night, you know. So he doesn't know if it's the cops, and, you know, they don't want to bring any added attention to themselves. So he turns his lights off. They can see, you know, a little bit, and he pulls in. The car goes by. They're good. He flicks his lights on, and there are the two dogmen that they had just seen standing in the parking lot, like right in front of them, but they're quadruped, and they're all like screaming, there they are, you know, what kids would do. As he, you know, they're all trying to figure out, everything's going so fast, and he's like, you know, get a picture. The passenger of the car has got his phone up, and they're, you know, screaming, like, take a picture. What the hell is that? So as he's getting his, you know, thing up, he takes a picture, and he goes, shit, I got to turn on the flash, you know, because everything's just, time is now moving rapid for them. He said it seemed like we were in a movie and everything was going fast forward, just so quick. By the time, you know, we see them standing there, quadruped, right as we turn our lights on. Everyone's yelling, take a picture. He takes a picture. The flash isn't on, so he doesn't get anything. He puts his flash on, and the passenger takes this picture. And as the flash flashes out, everyone's kind of like, these two dogmen are now bipedal. And the one that's closest to them jumps onto the hood of the car, and as it lands on its hood, or on the kid's hood, it bends down and looks at them. It's no longer quadruped. It jumps on the hood of the car and is bipedal, looking down at them and growling. Their windows are up. No radio, but they can hear this just reverberating growl as this thing's glaring in at them. He said it was like if our windows were down and it was in the car, it was so loud. He puts his car in reverse and punches it kind of to go out onto the road that they are on, that side road. And he's going to try to shoot back out to 13 and either head home or into town. But this thing's on his hood. So when he backs up, it's still staring at them. And he said it's almost like it didn't even move. It stayed with the car. He punches it, and as he's going straight is when it jumps off to the side. And that's the last he saw of it. It just jumped off the side of the car. And instead of going home, they go into town. He goes, we got to go to the police station. We got to tell them what we just saw. You know, these things might be, you know, attacking people. What the hell? You know, everything and anything's coming to their mind. And the kid's like, the passenger guys go, and if they don't believe us, I got the picture. We can show them the picture. And they go to the police station. There's a couple officers on duty. It's now 11:30. And the four guys kind of walk in, and, you know, they're frantic, this and that. And of course, obviously the police are going to be like, are you guys drinking? You know, what are you guys doing? What are you guys talking about? And one of the kids is like, I got 2 pictures. We took 2 pictures. There's these dogmen that are down at the Assembly of God Church right now. We saw it on the roof, and there's some in the woods. I got this picture. And he opens his camera gallery to show the police. And he looks, and it's just this gray blob. And at that point, he's like, I took this picture. This picture was perfect. You know, he goes, after I had the flashback on, he goes, I know it came out good. But it's just this blob. For some reason, that door is rattling right now. So the cops are like, yeah, right, whatever, you know. We'll go home. You know, they obviously make sure they're not drinking and stuff. And he goes out and he shows the dent in the car. And then they look on the hood, and the hood is dented in. There's no scratch marks, but the hood is dented in like someone was standing on his car. Like if one of his buddies just jumped on his car, you know, like on the hood and dented it in two kind of legs or footprints on the hood. So obviously the policemen are not believing these kids, you know. They're like, you know, stop messing around, this, and that. And he's like, listen, you know, go down there and see for yourself. These things are there. I'm not lying. We're not lying. They're, you know, all four of us were all sober. We all saw this damn thing. You know, these things. Go down there. So the cops tell him, you know, we're going to go check. Take off. Go home. You know, if we need you, you know, give us your contact information. And they end up driving home. And as they are driving past the side road to go to the Assembly of God, they kind of slow down and they all look, and they don't see anything. They don't see any eye shine. They don't see these dogmen. One of the kids in the back kind of flashes his flashlight through the back window, which is going to cause more light to reflect back into the car than shine outside of the car. But they're kids. They can't, you know, they don't know that. Well, they do now. But so they all get to his house, and they immediately check all the doors, all the windows, this, and that. And they, you know, takes them a long time to calm down. But they eventually do calm down. They start playing they get to their plan, start playing their game. And I guess in Call of Duty, you can communicate with other people that are outside of your inner circle. So like, I guess there's people playing in, you know, these guys are playing in Wisconsin. They could be playing a couple kids or people from Texas and Oklahoma and Colorado, you know, so they're all playing. And one of the kids brings up what they saw, and you know, they start talking about it to these people that they're playing with. And, you know, people are like, oh, bullshit. And, you know, I guess it's pretty vulgar on Call of Duty chat or whatever the hell it's called. But, you know, people are pretty rude and stuff. So, you know, they're getting called out and you're lying, yada, yada. And so as they're playing and some time goes by, and probably an hour goes by, and they get another game going, and the guy communicates with him and goes, hey, are you the kid that saw the Dogman? Tell me about it. You know, where do you live? Tell me about, you know, this creature that you saw, you know, in Park Falls, Wisconsin. And he says the kid's name, that not the guy that contacted me, but this kid that was talking about it. And they all stop, and they all have their own monitors and stuff and their own video games set up. And they all are in this, you know, this kid's living room, and they all stop and look at each other like, what the hell? How we never said where we were, nor do we use our real names. You know, we all have like aliases in this game. So one of the kids that's a little more ballsier than the rest goes, you know, real kind of off, vulgar, like blah, blah, blah. Who the are you? You know, how do you know that's this and that? And, you know, and the guy that knew where they were and that one kid's name goes, you know, you shouldn't talk about things that you don't know anything about, and you shouldn't talk about it, you know, out in the open. You should probably just shut your mouth. And he says every single kid's name, and they all kind of freak out and turn their games off. You know, all the consoles go off. They turn their TVs off. And now they're fucking wigging out like, what the hell? Who the hell is that? You know, do you think one of the cops plays, you know, Call of Duty? But why would a cop jeopardize our safety and, you know, tell our names? Like not their first name, but their full name, their full government name, like John C. Smith and Taylor B. Good, and, you know, like their whole name. They're just freaked out. They're done playing for the night, and they end up, you know, watching TV, and they all end up crashing in the living room. And, you know, it's, by the time they end up going to sleep, it's like 3, 4 in the morning. So, and the kids' parents are gone. So, you know, it's like a mini vacation party for them too. And, so they all crash out, and the next day they're awakened by this pounding on the door. And, you know, the kid that contacted me today, you know, wakes up, and he wakes everybody up and says, someone's knocking, and I'll be right back, guys. Let me open the door. And, you know, they're kind of still like waking up, but still freaked out from the night before. And he kind of looks out his window before he opens the door, and he sees a police car, and he sees a black SUV in his driveway. And he yells to his friends, the cops are here. The cops are here. He opens the door to, you know, talk to the cop that's out there. And as he opens the door, this guy pushes him in the house. The cop says something like, hey, you can't do that. Now, as they've already kind of looked at this SUV, and the SUV has government plates on it. They're a white government plate. That's about all he can recall is they were white and it was a government plate. He goes, I do not remember anything other than it said government. There were obviously identification number on the plate, but it was, a government tag. As he's getting pushed in by this just guy in a black suit, the cop says, hey, you can't do that. What the hell? The other agent that's with this one that's pushing himself into the house, walks up to the cop, and, he's walking backwards, he's witnessing this, and he sees this very brief exchange. Something was said between the other agent and the police officer. And the police officer just kind of stands there like now he's just not talking. And he's kind of just standing at attention almost, but not aware of his surroundings. The other agent walks in behind him, and the cop is still standing in that location. They shut the door and they tell everyone to sit, and they start talking. And all that was said was, where is this person? Full name. And you reside at this address. Open your phone in your gallery and let me look at it. And he does. The one agent that didn't push his way in, but just walked in behind the more aggressive agent, takes the phone from the kid and looks at it and just starts scrolling through his camera roll and deletes the two pictures. That one was black, one was just a black picture, like you take a picture of the night without your flash, you're just going to have nothing. And one was just this gray kind of what he remembers of the photo, because it's been a year and he only saw the photo once. But he said what it reminded him of was like a black and white TV, but it had like kind of static in it. That was the photo that he took with the flash on of this Dogman. Each kid is addressed by their full name, including middle, and their residence, their parents' home, because all these kids still live at home with their parents. And he gives them his phone back. But what is said is no one will talk about what occurred last night. You guys didn't see anything. You guys were just making this up and talking about it. So don't go on your game today and start talking about these things anymore. And as he's addressing it, he takes his glasses down and they're looking at him and his eyes shift quick. Like reptilian, human. That quick. But they all saw it because they talked about it after, even though it was a split second. The one that had addressed the police officer, that as the other one's pushing his way in, that one that went and talked to the police officer now walks up to all four of the teenagers and says something. The kid that contacted me doesn't remember what was said. He just remembers him coming close to him taking his glasses down, and his eyes being like this yellowish kind of what a lizard's eyes would look like. And he said something. He doesn't remember what was said, and his glasses went back up, and he did it to all 4 of the kids. He remembers physically what happened. Physically, he remembers getting pushed in. He remembers seeing the guy's eyes change and then seeing this guy's eyes change. But he doesn't remember like exactly what was said to them individually, and none of them did. So there was something said for split seconds, and they get up and walk toward the door. These 2 guys that are in black suits. The kid gets up to, lock the door behind these guys as they're leaving. And as they open the door to walk out and get to their SUV, the cop is still standing against the wall, exact same position he was at before they went in. Like, he didn't move a muscle. And the agent turns and walks up to him and puts his head, like his head's here, and says something that, he couldn't hear. And the cop shook his head and, looked around and said, you can't push your way in the house. And the agent just says, it's time to go. No one did anything. And the cop walks to his cruiser and drives away. The SUV sits there for a second. He shuts the door. He looks over, and his friends are looking out the window at the SUV, and the truck backs up and drives out. After that, they never saw the Dogman again, the 2 Dogman again. He's actually made it a point to go there every couple of days. He'll pull in and drive and look around, and nothing. The one buddy that the agent had spent a significant amount of time, more so than anyone else, that whatever he said, just recently got diagnosed with some sort of schizophrenia, and he tried to end his own life. Other than that, the other 3, including the one that called me that I talked to today, are fine. But the one guy that had more or less time spent, whatever this agent said to him really messed his head up bad. He hopes that he never sees these creatures again, but he said whatever or whoever these people were, their mind control or whatever it was far surpasses a human's brain of what humans can do. He doesn't know. He doesn't know what to do. The kid is the one kid that tried to end his life is sitting now in a institution for X amount of time, not in an infinite time, but X amount of time, and then he'll be released, just to make him better. That's what his parents keep telling his friends. He's doing better, but he's got to stay there a little longer to feel better. He now no longer trusts the police. And after that day, a kind of way of life that these kids, they played their video games, went to work, and lived at their mom and dad's, all of them. He never played a video game again and never even turned his console on since that happened. And since that one person had said, this is your name, this is where you live, which is crazy, because all they wanted to do was go to the police department and say, hey, this is what we saw. But what happened to that police officer? What did that agent say to that police officer to make him just stand still in one location, not facing the door, not facing his car, but facing away from him? So what did he say? What power in his words did he have to make one person nearly end his own life? And what did he say to this police officer to make him stand still, almost in attention, for 5 to 6 minutes while he was inside with these kids? No one will ever know. His friend is too. And how and why didn't he get diagnosed with schizophrenia prior to when he was younger? And I said, well, I think that people, as they age, it becomes more of a predominant mental illness with age. There's kids that get it, but it's mainly happens in the midlife era of life. Diagnosis is what I read. But yeah, so these poor kids, and whatever was said to that poor cop,
And there you have it, folks. Today's upload. Just an absolutely horrific experience. I really do feel for all involved. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. After all, it is your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go. And honestly, what gives us all a chance and a place to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone's simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Thank you. That is because of you all. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.